Leon has jumped right in and been really impressive too. A lot of players that are still growing and showing what they got. I think a lot of players in East Asia, I'm going to kind of call it a legacy year, especially for somebody like a Choppy who ventured out on his own. All those Zeta 0 guys and Zeta 1 guys kind of paired up with at least 1 to 2 other people. And, you know, he wanted to play with other people, or maybe it wasn't his choice. Maybe they told him, you know, these are our guys, and he had to do his best to find others. And getting second place last month, I think, is a big deal. So this guy can somehow find his way to a 3rd Brawl Stars World Finals would be absolutely insane.
No doubt. We'll see how exactly they navigate it. We'll see a Sprout first pick from Chasmac Gaming EA. That's a little unusual considering how, well, easy it is to counter Sprout, and also considering the fact that we're on Shooting Star. I would consider it bizarre even as a last pick, contrary to what I said at the end of the last match. We'll see what Reject decides to do to counter this out. They might choose not to counter it out at all because it might not even deserve that much attention. That said, there are plenty of good sharpshooters to go with here. They got to make sure that they don't get countered, though. They do have the last pick. Also, let's keep that in mind. Gus, pretty safe selection. Also enables them to go something like Carl if they decide to for the last pick.
Yeah, Sprout doesn't super surprise me here with the indestructible walls. It's definitely something that I've seen start to trend up. You're going to see Tick in the ban stage, you know, Grom, somebody that can be available for them. I will say, you know, when doing some looks at their scrims, they had some interesting choices. Byron, you see in the ban phase, was one brawler I noted, but somebody that's an old classic brawler. Leon is somebody that's kind of sneaky here, and especially when I see somebody like Sprout, I think there's a decent chance. You know, it is just practices. Ultimately, it's not what they're doing in BSC, but they're practicing what they play. So I'm kind of curious to see if they end up going with a bolder choice like Leon. It's somebody I saw pretty consistently in practices. So very interesting stuff coming out. I think Sprout as a first pick, like you mentioned, though, I think is warranted to be a little dangerous just because you can bring in those tankier brawlers or find some counters. But, you know, wall break isn't as easy of an option. I think it's going to decrease the proc stock. Somebody that can tear down those walls, increase the thrower stock. Somebody like Tick, Sprout, and Grom specifically on this map. Dinah and Barley, while they are a little higher in the play rate right now, definitely not on this map.
Not at all. And look, Kenny, I see what you mean. I did get a little jump scared by the RT there. I'm not going to lie in the introduction, but he's here to play. And he's here with Nanny as well. Wonder how that exactly is going to pan out, because we've seen RT banned, we've seen him selected. Didn't get to see too much action from the guy, but this time might be our chance. Still playing into quite long-range sharpshooter brawlers. Reject can go with something to counter out the Sprout if they so desire. I mentioned the Carl. You can get the blue star for free. It might be exactly what they want to do, but still, they have plenty of time to choose what exactly it is. Keep in mind, they might not want to go for something too squishy because they'll be facing versus that Nanny. We all know how much damage autofocus can do. Spoiler alert, it's a lot. And Menmi is going to be enabling some good close-range combat with Kenji once he gets that teleport up.
Yeah, I think this is something that I've talked to pro players about recently too, is that Gray is somebody that can still go under or teleport or however the little hole that he creates works, but it's somebody that can get up close and personal with the throwers, which is, you know, still continued to give him value, even though, you know, he has received some nerfs more recently. He was very, very strong at a pro level, and anytime he can teleport, so valuable. But I think this is where we can get a little bit of a, you know, he's a sharper shooter, but also can deal well with these indestructible walls. 4-pronged walls, that's a lot to deal with. So Kenji can certainly still shine here, but if Levi gets the teleport, could be a major threat.
Well, Levi, he's working on that teleport, but he's already gotten that more important thing, which is the blue star off the beginning. Now they gotta get to sit back and not play too aggressive. They know that Chasmac Gaming EA is gonna be playing into them, so they get to fight on their terms. Kenji gets yanked forward a little bit. Big destruction there with the overgrowth. Chasmac Gaming EA now find themselves in the lead, and they've gotten that blue star. Such good value off that shot from Kenji as they own the mid area. Here comes the peep in as well, circling around to get some extra damage for autofocus. Levi might fall. Kuru falls in turn, and Menmi is pretty safe here. Reject find themselves in the lead once more.
Yeah, a little back and forth right now. Both sides landing some really good shots. We've seen some big moments from Kenji, but now through for Levi. This is the matchup that they wanted to look for. A 1,000 extra HP, and Inspector Gray finds himself a kill and a safe escape.
That was spectacular. First of all, get over here, yanks him through the indestructible wall, and then adds insult to injury by teleporting right onto him. It was almost comical to watch just how disrespectful that is versus Kenji. It puts Reject even further in the lead. Chasmac Gaming EA don't have much time to respond. Melty does have a super that he can use to go aggro in the final moments, but he has that sort of noose hanging over his head. The use of Bell's super is going to make him take a lot more damage. Toppy could fall here. We see the peep towards the back lines. Levi survives and tanks it. Reject still firmly in the lead with countdowns active. It's time to see that super come out from our team.
Yeah, they need 2 kills, and one of them's going to have to be Levi here, but Kenji taking some heavy heat right now. Melty has been marked by a Choppy as well. Does get the pickup, but a trade at that too. Back and forth, 1 star being the difference. But
say, yank him through the wall. Just unreal. And then on top of that, teleport on him once he gets away. We could very much see that again. Levi, he's not going to have as easy of a time getting that blue star from the beginning, and I take it back immediately. Chasmac Gaming EA, they back off. Gets that blue star for free. And Reject now get to fall back, but they don't want to do so without their supers. They'll let this line of scrimmage slowly retreat towards their side. Get a few abilities along the way.
Yeah, and I like this from Levi too. Gets that blue star, and you know, normally you're only going to see throwers do that, but he's looking for those opportunities right there, daring Kenji to step forward because Levi is looking to punish. A very healthy Melty on the side here. Super hand. Didn't get to see a ton of that in the last one, but there's the pull through as well. Kenji does manage to stay alive, but a cutoff there gonna make it difficult for Mimi to kind of step through. Kuru looking for shots, but a good recovery here. It's gonna be a small lead for Chasmac Gaming EA for now.
They're getting pushed all the way to the back lines. This could be where Melty decides to use a super, though we didn't see him use that super a single time in the last game until it was the final moments, and he just did it because, yeah, the game's over, I'll just pop the super. But still, Chasmac Gaming EA lead by 1 star. They have to play this really, really carefully. Melty, he's focused on tagging up these enemies, making them take additional damage. He tries to make a play on the left side. He could get pinched if he's not careful. Melty senses the opportunity. Need to see a shot from Kuru. A bit of an explosion from the Ghost, but Minmi gets taken down. Reject still at a loss. 25 seconds remain for Chasmac Gaming EA to keep defending.
3-6 here, and a couple big mistakes I'll say from Reject there, and Mimi gonna get tagged up there as well. They need 1 good push. 3 stars being the difference maker, but Kenji's not gonna be enough. They have to aim at Kuru or Melty here. They're all being rushed to this back left-hand side, but you know what they're gonna do? They're gonna route wall rethrow as well. I was nervous for him. Little misstep, all good. You can see this.
Me and this giant hedge that I've placed between us. Isn't it so splendid? If you catch the reference, let us know. But Chasmac Gaming EA, off of that, they corner themselves like a ball in a game where SK is playing, and Reject still managed to take this first star, the blue star, in fact, just how they've started every single game so far. Chasmac Gaming EA are going to fight their hearts out to bring it back.
Levi just continuing to hit these gadgets, and I think if they can avoid those couple little mistakes, again, little mistakes, but Chasmac Gaming a good enough team at a professional level to really make those mistakes count. Now, kind of getting aggressive here. Nest Egg on this right-hand side. Melty continuing to duel alongside Bell. Kenji wants to move up a little bit down this right-hand side. Is actually going to trigger that Nest Egg, which I think is really good for them as well. Need to be careful here, but everybody kind of just finding their bearings, looking for the first mistake or kill. Minute to go, nothing being transcribed yet.
Chasmac Gaming EA still, they try to cement this line of scrimmage. We've just dipped below the 1-minute mark in this game. Reject fighting their hearts out, still trying to maintain the position. It's going to be tough. Chasmac Gaming EA suffering huge heavy fire on the left side too as Kuru has trickled down. Minmi sensing an opportunity also to regain a bit of positioning. Now, just below 35 seconds. We see the Ghost on the ground, ready for Minmi to pop it. It's not going to pop just yet. Reject, they're determined to slow down the pace of the game and maintain the lead of just 1 blue star.
This get really dicey here too, with a few seconds left, and Super's still available. There's the pull. Levi needs to dodge, though. A bubble coming through for Minmi to keep his teammate alive, and now a connection there as well. Still no kills. Each side looking for the first.
Just a few seconds left. Chasmac Gaming EA need to push in. Kenji, Melty, both on low health, but they're the only ones who can get kills. Kenji trying to defend himself, gets popped out of the position by a chop.
This roster been a very key piece of it.
Like a glove is, I believe, the terminology. It's at least what we say in the industry, but we'll see if they can make a good fit here on Double Swoosh. for some gem grab action. Love watching Double Switch in this region because it seems like they get quite inventive with what exactly they're going to play here. One thing I will never forget is last year, Zeta Division 1 winning with a Crow mid on this map. And I wonder if we'll see it once again. There's Sandy as well, a brawler we've seen debut a handful of times in different maps. Will it be Double Switch? Well, no, because they've rejected him. They've banned him out on the left side. The first pick belongs to Chasmac Gaming EA.
Yeah, they didn't just say it once, they said it with an exclamation. Double bans coming through. Both sides not willing to deal with this. Poco, Janet, Penny Stew, all very normal. But again, in other regions of the world, unless something's changed there too, it's not something I've particularly noticed outside of APAC. You know, a lot of it stems from EA, but obviously other regions too. We even saw it a little bit earlier in those ban stages or play stages. So Sandy, clearly somebody that this region values. And, you know, a lot of times they're going to be looking to these more historic regions like East Asia, some of these teams that have been around for a while. There's that Crow that you noted as well. It worked in the mid last year. It can work on the side lane so well too for getting it visibility for your teammates. Very safe first choice. I think it can be really solid in a lot of combinations.
Yeah, I mean, what? The mid lane, either side lane, it's quite nice. Here's the Gene, though. I think this is going to be the superior mid for this map, and usually you don't want to select as your very first thing because it's quite straightforward to counter, and this is what Chasmac Gaming EA needs to keep in the back of their head. This is when we start to see selections like Bo or Penny or things like that. Anything that has a spawnable that can be placed in front of it. Reject also with the Otis selection, definitely like this. Keep in mind also, Gene most notably counters out Carl very effectively, so this could afford them a pretty impactful Carl pick if they want that for their final one.
Yeah, I think a lot of options here too. Somebody that's also risen through the ranks is Rosa, of course. It's one of the older historical tanks on this map as well that can do really well. Of course, having the gadget in play can add the extra bushes if you elect to go that route. I think it's really interesting just to see all these regions kind of bring their own little style to it. Im's going to be somebody that shows up in this region particularly higher than others as well, but a good old-fashioned Max makes me happy. I think this is somebody that's going to be able to utilize this brawler really well and a great mid choice for them.
That plus you've picked Crow already. You've gotten rid of one of the major counters to this brawler. I think it's a very solid selection for them, and they'll be able to accent it with basically anything and have it work quite effectively. But they need to keep in mind. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess I did say anything. I'm prepared to stand by that. Chester is a bit out of the usual. And yeah, I think that's about all I got to say. It has me a little speechless.
I don't have much either for what it's worth. This is not somebody that I saw in practice, so I'm a little caught off guard as well. Chester is somebody that I feel like we haven't seen much of since his heavy nerfs earlier. Of course, he was really, really strong, and then they hit him with that as well to make him a little more balanced, which I think was a wise decision, but we'll see what he's got in the tank here. I think he's a fun brawler. I love seeing him with the Joker's got, but I don't know how easy it's going to be. You know, he is going to deal some sneaky amounts of damage when he's up close, but against a Spike, against an Otis that can hit you with the mute button, I'm not sure what he'll do here. I'm just not sure. So I'm really curious to see what happens here. And for Chasmac Gaming EA, very excited to see what they can do with this.
Let's see how it works. I think one other thing that Spike will be able to do, which is very important, is since you have vision gear, it's not something that we can see as spectators, right? Because, well, we're able to see everyone on the map. But if you put yourself in Levi's shoes, he's able to suss out some enemies using the widespread of these attacks and how difficult it can be to dodge, especially when it comes down to curveball. See on the left side, though, he's getting pressured quite a lot. On the right side, Choppy manages to win this lane in a way. He hasn't gotten the takedown just yet, but he has the positioning that he needs so much. Kenji tries to flank from the left side. Levi wins the lane versus Melty. Chasmac Gaming EA, they lose Kuru on the back lines as well, and Kenji just barely stays alive. In fact, they've lost their entire bush, too. Reject really walking over these guys.
Yeah, this is good stuff coming in from them. Very similar to what we saw last month, but Kenji giving a little extra juice here. The energy drink being popped, and now it's Kuru once again going to go down here. Levi with the pickup. 3 gems in Mimi's hands, and now Levi able to step forward as a result. Tag team there, and a big pull coming through onto Melty. Kenji low HP and going to go down here too. A fresh delivery of 8 gems for Mimi, and Levi picks up the rest. Countdown begins.
Melty gets taken down, and a silence to the face of Choppy. He's just out for blood. 1-2 kills on the entire opposing side. Some spins from Levi and Minmi too. I mean, they're safe and sound.
I just didn't see much from it there, and I think we're going to have to find either some different positioning or find some more creative ways to utilize it, because it's just not going to be easy, I think, to get up close here against somebody like Levi on Spike, or Otis, who again has so much utility, has the fat splatter, has the mute button, as I like to call it. You know, he's got a silent still. What are you going to do about that? And Kuru at least closing the distance here, but again, already low HP. Minmi can heal up allies as well very quickly. Gonna have to rely on some big dodges. There's one, but gonna go down to the Levi shot there. An emergency life plant. Not gonna get us value out of that, but Kenji being rushed away as a result.
Chasmac Gaming EA, they do have a serious amount of gems on their side, but it might be the last gem they pick up. Kenji could disrupt that. Here's number 4, Reject, to have one spawning on their side, but they're going to have to fight for it as Melty and Kenji shift up their positioning and where to pinch things. Choppy on the right side, landing up some good shots, but Kenji dodging out a lot of them. Here's the speed. Melty now pinching around from the bottom side. Combine the speed with slowing the opponents, and you might as well double the amount of speed you have. Chasmac have now ballooned their gem count to 9 on their side. Kenji with a final one as they look to move things back, but not too quickly. Kenji, though, does have to make some evasive maneuvers as he's so close to death.
Wow, and what a perfect super to get there for Kuru. Rolls the dice a little bit and gets the Lu-esque super to cut off that entire right-hand side. But Kenji can't. He can pull out the slowing ice skating rink right there. Gotta have Chester get some supers and keep them on their toes.
I mean, he needs to pull out a few more stuns here because a little bit of luck would not hurt. Chasmac Gaming EA, they might have taken the last one, but they did make just a couple of really big plays that ended up taking it for them, especially the speed. Once it gets onto Melty and they're able to slow things down and speed themselves up in tandem, there's a recipe for success. But Reject, they're already shifting up the lanes too. A Choppy taking the left side versus Kuru. We see Kenji also using the phase shifter to get out of the way. Unlike the last game, they don't find themselves in the early game lead. Reject have still tied them so far. Mimi has a super to pull Kenji, but he has to catch him off guard or freshly out of a phase shifter.
Kuru doing an excellent job in game number 3 here too. Going to be picking up this left-hand side, and I kind of see why Chester can be so valuable. You know, when you get to those 2, 3, 4-pronged shots, he just covers the entire left-hand side. He's invisible, so if he's hitting dodges, really good stuff too. I see the vision here. I see why Kuru chose this brawler, and I can kind of get behind it a little bit. Missed pulls there as well. Gonna be a tough one, and Kenji picks up a 7th. Still back and forth, but now a real opportunity for Sia and Maji to try and pick up a set.
Killed by Minmi on the left side. Kenji's going to try and rush things. Melty needs to get a tag so he can slow things down, but Minmi stays just out of range and gets some good hits along the way. He's got to be so close to that super. Kenji and Melty are extremely aware. Choppy's going to push things back, weaken things up. Melty tries to go for that gem. He's not able to get it, but he is able to slow things down. Kenji has the super, but they're not high enough on health to make it work just yet. Through on the left side also is blowing up a lot of these bushes. He could be the one receiving the speed, maybe. Take down onto Melty. It's not really the best time for a big push in, especially when Minmi has that super. Kenji only has one phase shifter left.
It's going to be really difficult for Chasmac Gaming. A good start here, though, is dropping the energy coming in from max super speed going down, but now a pull going through, a bounce off, and Kuru falls. Kenji, 8 gems in hand, and now an 11th being picked up. Very crucial, because now they can't get this from the mid. Kenji's going to need a kill, but a Choppy cleans up a couple good ones as well, and Chasmac Gaming so close, but Reed's got to hurt for sure. It's going to really force them to kind of bounce back here, put them at a deficit, especially now that Aphelion have gained some much needed points making it to a grand finals. Even if they don't win, they could take the lead here against them. So that out of those 4 teams, these are really the ones we're looking at. It's a very important one too, as Reject's in the same boat. Now that Crazy Raccoon go down a round earlier than we're kind of used to seeing, anything can happen here for this region. So you want to be consistent as much as possible, and if Reject can get another 3-0 win, that's gotta feel good for him.
Well, Reject start things off with a pick of RT. Let's note some of the brawlers that have been banned out as well. We have the Bonnie, the Max, and the Tick selected as rejected. On Reject's side, Chasmac Gaming EA, they got rid of the Jean, the Brock, and the Bonnie. No wall break here for that Brock, but there are other ways to get the job done here on Out in the Open. Still, though, it's not as strong as it used to be, considering the presence of a few indestructible walls. Mandy is going to be locking things down at long range. This can be a bit of an iffy pick, because if brawlers decide that they're not going to play your lane, there's not a whole lot you can do. It can also be quite tough to hit enemies since you're not able to strafe with them. We'll see Eve also selected by Chasmac Gaming EA. I think this is a phenomenal pick. We'll see how Reject respond to it.
Yeah, Chasmac Gaming EA going with a couple sneakier brawlers, I will say. I think compared to general public, Eve, Mandy, maybe not the most intuitive here, especially with the new hotness of RT coming out. They're going to be testing that out, but Mandy's super lethal. If you can get a couple tags in there, every time you tag a brawler, it's a half percentage up and obviously deals a ton of damage. Eve, a unique feature for her, of course, too, is that she can float over that brawler or over that water. I was just so caught off guard by the Leon. I'm glad we get to see him. It's something we saw a lot in scrims for knockout and for bounty, for me at least, when I was digging into some of these teams and what they're rolling with. Again, this is really the only region I see do that, so really excited to kind of see what they bring to the table here. And I think it's really going to make you question if you want to go thrower if you're the Chasmac Gaming side.
True. Very good point there. Reject, they have one more selection they can go with, and maybe this is where they decide to pick a brawler that's typically weak to throwers. Here comes Gus, and I can definitely see that being a brawler that finds some issues with throwers, but I don't think that was really the idea there. Levi on the Leon is just going to try and get it done. Chasmac Gaming EA have one more selection they can go with. It's tough to tell which direction is the ideal one to go with here, but anything that's able to detect Leon is probably going to be a fairly good asset. It could be Otis quickly taking down the lollipop drop with the use of his gadget, Fat Splatter. It could be something like Spike sussing out positions. Janet is actually going to be the selection here. I like this. You get drop the base, you get a large amount of area control, and you'll be able to detect where exactly an invisible Leon is headed.
Yeah, I think last time we saw Chasmac Gaming being the ones kind of taking chances, if you will, at some more untraditional picks, but this time it's actually going to be Reject going with Leon again. I've seen him here and there and some scrims going on between all of these teams, especially those top four I'm really paying attention to for trends of what the region's doing, and for whatever reason, they've started to hover back to him. And somebody that used to play this region, this brawler used to play in this region for a long time, and we just haven't seen a lot of Leon. I think when, you know, you get the visibility gear in the game, especially, is where we really saw that start to trickle down. But of course, you can get some value out of the lollipop drop. You can kind of put him behind these indestructible walls, and he's a very aggressive brawler, so he's going to do good into somebody like Mandy up close. And even Janet, if she doesn't have a getaway option, he can get a kill very quickly.
Well, Chasmac Gaming EA, they're already posting up with Kenji on the left side. He'll be getting some good pot shots in here. It's going to be tough also for him to detect where exactly those enemies are, since he's able to hit them while they are completely off his screen. Trying to get a choppy and clip around this barrel. Still not going to connect with too many shots just yet. Will end up getting Levi a little bit, but if he's able to keep up these shots, he'll fire up that super very, very soon. Chasmac Gaming EA kind of descend upon Reject's backlines, Melty, especially around the left side. It's a good outlook for Chasmac Gaming EA.
Yeah, they've got great positioning here, and Menmi has a shield available. There's the tag, and Choppy barely able to hold on. Lollipop drop going down too. Levi trying to give his team any advantage possible. Some good chip damage as Menmi's looking for a one-on-one here. A good shot from a Choppy, a takedown from Menmi. 3v2 situation as Kenji is gonna fall to the zone. Melty, the last one standing, goes down to one little Leon shot. 1-0 Reject, despite the bad positioning, do end up getting this one.
Good stuff so far. Could very well change. Levi now sneaking around that left side. Melty none the wiser. Here it comes. Oh, as soon as he saw him, immediately popped that super to escape, and he will escape with his life. He could be going into yet another world of pain. Could be a pinch between Menmi and Levi. Here comes the Elim. Levi gets the takedown. And Chasmac Gaming EA are at a 2-3 deficit. One brawler missing. Kenji's going to get that jump pad to move over to the right side. It's East versus West, but CMG got their backs against the walls.
Yeah, now just a lone Kuru in action, dropping that super. Not a lot it's going to be able to do for him, though, especially with the pickup here from Menmi onto that super, too. And now Choppy feeling confident enough to drop it.
From the opposing team. Of course, you only got a few seconds to do that, to sit back and rethink things and get some team comms up before heading into what could be the very last game of this entire match. Reject are at match point. Chasmac Gaming EA did get a good start off that last match, but Kenji already taken down is not a good sign.
Oh no, everything falling apart here for Chasmac Gaming EA. It's looking dangerously similar to what we saw last month where we had a 3-0 as well. It's just a lone Kuru up top. And I'm curious too, you know, we talk about the Leon a little bit, we talk about the Gus. I didn't noticeably pay attention to this, but I wonder how often Gus and Leon are paired together as they get that very easy kill there in the 3-on-1 situation, because I kind of like the synergy they have. We saw it a little bit earlier, but the Gus bubble going with an assassin brawler, Leon doesn't have to be as scared. He can just get aggressive and let Gus take care of him.
Pretty much. I mean, this is an interesting strategy. And so far, Reject are kind of rocking it, but Chasmac Gaming EA still have yet to find out exactly how to play into it. Levi surprises things on the left side. Melty taken down by that one shot from Levi. Down goes Kenji, and Kuru's the lifeline for this team. Everyone descends upon him. He even tries to escape, but it's not